How's everybody's holiday? Hmm? Thanksgiving holiday? I'm sure everybody was off work,
Mine was
been away
fairly,
from everything.
yeah, mine was
Yeah.
fairly quiet. We stayed home. We didn't really go anywhere or
Okay.
do anything just because of the whole COVID situation.
Yeah, that's pretty
So,
much how we were. We didn't really do much of anything. I mean, and then pretty much just gave us more opportunity to stay home with the toys,
hmm. Oh, I hear that. Yeah, me too.
just snuggle with toys.
Yeah, I've been doing a little rearranging upstairs, trying to get everything situated, but it's not yet complete. So it'll
Tell us
get
about
done
it.
over
What
the.
you doing?
Well,
Yeah.
no, it'll get done over the Christmas holidays. I'm just moving my YouTube booth over here to this back wall to kind of get it out of this shot here and then kind of hide some stuff. And then I bought a new shelf from IKEA for some books over here
Yeah.
on this wall. If you're watching the YouTube, you can see where I'm pointing, but it's an undertaking. So hopefully one day it will be complete, but it'll never be complete. It'll never be complete.
That's how everything is. It's organic, it's always ever flowing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So it's not
that's true.
Static. Static's
you just.
boring.
I know
Yeah.
that's pretty true. I mean, I'm always doing something. I'm always moving around. I'm probably going to start restocking the shelves and stuff, moving stuff around. I think I'm going to move. I had some. Y'all remember the Disney Infinity line that came out?
Hmm.
It was. Then Walmart was selling them all for cheap whenever it got canceled. So I bought like every single one of them, and I thought, oh, I'll put them out on the shelf. And now I think I'm getting bored with them. I think I'm going to put them up and put something else out there.
Yeah, I think
So
we might have gotten all of them too before they. I think we managed to get all the Star Wars characters.
yeah, I did because I mean you get them for like $3 or
Yeah,
$4 a
yeah.
piece.
By
So
the end, they're really easy to get.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was pretty silly.
It
But
was
I
sad.
mean, yeah. But no, I
But
mean I
they did transform that line though into like the Disney toy
the
box line.
toy box and
Yeah.
the toy box line they put out some just good toys. My wife was getting something a little while back. She was ordering something. I just can't remember what it was, but she needed to add some more money to the cart. She's just like, oh,
Yeah.
look, I want free shipping and all that. And was there anything you wanted from there, or do I need to pay all this extra for shipping? And we started looking through it, and there was some toy box stuff. I didn't see Star Wars on there, but I did see they had like some Disney stuff. Like I think I got Captain Hook. I'm like,
Hmm.
he looks cool, and got him. And man, I mean, he's just a simple figure, but he's got like the accessories and everything so well done. Like just a great, well-made toy. And then I saw I think it was your Kylo Ren, right? You had the Kylo Ren, and was it Kylo
Yeah.
Ren and Rey or
Yeah.
just Kylo
Just
Ren?
Kylo Ren. Just Kylo
I was
Ren.
gonna say you had Kylo Ren, and I saw that, and it was really, really well done. So they just look. I mean, they look like animated, simple figures, but they're just really well articulated and well made, and the accessories are really cool.
Yeah, I've got a Venomized Hulk on the way in from the toy box line. Shh.
That sounds cool.
We don't tell the wife. It was like, I have to order a Christmas present for her. Oh, let me throw this in the cart too.
Right?
So when the box comes in, this is your Christmas present. Take it upstairs.
Right? No, Ray though he killed me because I'm sitting there going like all right, no spending. I can't spend any more money. And then he goes, hey, check this out, and sends me a text, and it's like Amazon has a gold, was it like their
There,
day of deals or whatever, their deal of the day. And it was
it's
like you
like
have so
Cyber
many.
Monday. Yeah, it was a Cyber Monday deal, I think.
Yeah, and they had Zeb from Rebels, the Black Series figure. They had him marked down
Oh,
to like $19.
oh really?
So
Yeah,
yeah, they had him marked down to like $20, 19, $20. It was like way cheaper than 30. I think what, 34,
it.
$35.
I think no. The regular price I think is $29.99, and it was marked down to $20.99. That's what it was. It was nine
Okay.
bucks off. That's a big steal. That's a big drop
Okay.
off the original
For some reason I thought it
price.
was like a $34 figure, but anyway, but
It's
yeah, that's a
big
huge
enough to
drop,
be.
and I'm like
Yeah.
$20. Like that's the price of a regular. I mean, actually nowadays it's cheaper than a regular Black Series figure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, all right. So I just had to get it. So I got him in like the next day. It was insane how quickly they got him to me. Like I ordered it, boom, he's there the next day. And this thing is huge. I mean, he's a hulk of a figure. He's
Mhm.
just great. Just I couldn't say enough good things about it.
So here's a question: why are the Star Wars Black Series figures more expensive than Marvel Legends or the Power Rangers collection or
I don't know. The
any of
Black
the other
Series
Hasbro
figures are
stuff.
the Black Series figures are cheaper. This one in particular, though, is considered a deluxe figure because he was
Because
bigger.
he's big, yeah.
So
He's
he was.
big,
So he
and
was.
yeah, and
Cad
he's also
Bane.
he's a whole new species also because I don't think they've ever had to sculpt anything that has his figure. He has those digitigrade legs, those back bending wolf-like legs.
Right.
And
Right.
we've never had a figure that with
But
Black Series that has that.
But like the Cad Bane that recently sold out, $29.99 on Hasbro Pulse. Other stuff's like $19.99. So I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is that one could be if the Cad Bane figure there may be a deluxe, like maybe he has extra features with
He,
him.
he
I don't
doesn't.
know. Doesn't so I don't know.
So I'm just going to look at Hasbro Pulse right now just because
I get it. Just can't
know.
tell why. Oh, no, I mean,
Well-
I literally can't say because it's one of her Christmas presents.
Okay.
I mean, I have one. There's not much to him. He's very small. He's nothing like, unless there were two versions they released of him though. There was one that was just him alone, and he comes with his two blaster pistols. And then there was a second figure that came out that was a little bit more expensive because he comes with some little droid character, I think called
Toto
Toto.
360.
Yeah, he comes with it now. He made it a little bit more expensive. I think he made it
Yeah.
around 30 or something.
Yeah, it was 29.
Yeah,
That's
that-
what I was thinking of right there. I just looked.
yeah,
They're all $19.99. Okay, so my
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Okay, skip that.
But it is
Rewind.
confusing because I mean they're doing these different price figures like the Grievous that you couldn't find in stores was a $30 figure. Jar Jar is a $30 figure. I mean he hasn't come out yet, but he's going to be a $30 figure. But that's because he's got a bunch of accessories with him. He's got like
Yeah. So
the
it's a
big
deluxe.
shield. Yeah, he's a deluxe figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, still waiting on Crate Luke though.
Crate loot. Yeah.
That's gonna be a long wait for a train don't come.
But it was
Firefly
rumored to
said.
already be like it was supposed to come out like with Count Dooku and all them. I've got Count Dooku. I found that line and he wasn't part of that. And
Well, I remember when you sent me the rumor about that because that was like they revealed him, and Zeb I think was also in that little slew of like leaks of what was coming. So both Dooku and Zeb have come out. It's just
yeah. So I'm thinking maybe they're holding off or something. Maybe either there was a problem in production and they needed to correct it, or maybe they're trying to I don't know. It's an easy. It just seems like an easy sell. So I don't know why they're not putting it out yet. I mean, they put out that what's the collection called? The 3 3/4.
The vintage, the retro,
The
or
vintage,
whatever.
the vintage, yeah, the vintage collection or whatever.
Oh.
Yeah, they put him out in that collection. The 3 3/4 inch figure. I never saw it in stores. It sold out. I mean, super popular. So I mean, but I just don't want that size. I want like the Black Series version. So hopefully they'll put that out soon. But yeah, I got the Zeb in. He's perfect.
massive, isn't he? Like
He's
just like
huge.
He's
He's
dense.
huge.
He's very dense also. Like
No, for sure.
At least, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, since we're talking Star Wars, is it time for the Mando Minute or 5? Oh, God Almighty!
Get the
the
name right.
5-minute Mando.
The 5-minute Mando. My bad. God Almighty.
Spend all the time marketing for this.
I know it. And then I screw it up talking about let's move this thing to the 5-minute Mando.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's do 5
So,
minutes.
I guess the story behind this is we're going to start doing 5 minutes so we don't spend a lot of time on the Mandalorian. And Ray is going to time us. And at the end of 5 minutes, whatever we're saying, we have to cut off and move to the next topic.
Sure. Let's do it.
All
Okay.
right.
So do we go now?
As soon as Ray says go.
Go.
All right.
Yeah.
So first off, I thought this was probably the best episode of the season. Hard to say that because to me,
Top
just
fan.
about every episode's been great.
Yeah.
But this has been hands down the greatest episode. Just from start to finish, you have a completely original setup. You've got this small town. It feels like a samurai and a western meet together. Great acting, great action. The best characters in the world. You've got Ahsoka Tano, is introduced. I mean, everything is just perfect about this episode. I couldn't say anything I don't know. It hit every note I wanted it to. It was perfect. It was perfect. It was perfect.
Did you read the article I sent you afterwards? The little interviews with Filoni and Rosario Dawson. It was a Vanity Fair
Maybe,
article.
maybe, probably, because I've
It was
read a
really
bunch.
good.
I just read a bunch of
Yeah.
follow-up stuff after that, so
Well,
probably.
it was just one thing I thought was a really cool tidbit was, Filoni brought up, because Ahsoka's his baby, kind of, he's written her from the beginning, and he's gotten one of those rare things to do where he's basically been her, like, one, basically almost her sole writer in every form of television, action we've seen her. I think the only exception may be like, comics or the Ahsoka novel, but I bet, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he had input into making sure that that story hits certain points, hit certain beats. But yeah, I thought that was cool. Like, he's kind of been there since her inception. He's kind of nurtured her character, her arc throughout the entire story since he started out. I love that, and he's still there. He got to do this episode, bringing her into live action, which was incredible. I thought it was a really cool start.
The fact that you see something that was dreamed. I mean, it was dream casting. You saw, when they were talking about putting her in live action, I never would have thought they'd do it. That just does not happen. Those worlds it's hard that they ever cross. Like, think about how hard it was, or how long it was before you ever even saw Coruscant on the screen.
Yeah.
Well, and that's hard, in Kashyyyk, but those were just hard things to take from it, or you just never. George Lucas and all that, it's always a forward thinking thing. It's never about taking something and kind of adapting it. So when you have these great ideas, it's like, all right, I'll enjoy them in that medium. So anyway, I would have never thought that she would have been brought over to live action. And then when they say that Rosario Dawson's going to pick her, hit okay, and then you see it, it's perfect. And she gets even down to the voice, even down to everything.
She did a great
she's
voice.
Perfect. She
focused.
She focused and gave us exactly what the character needed.
She did a lot of her mannerisms, like even her specific walk, her very, she always had like a very close gait almost, Yep. She made sure that she did that. I thought that was very,
Yep.
she did her homework. She definitely did her homework for the character.
1000%. That was my major thing I noticed when I watched it, was that you could tell she had seriously given that character respect, and she did her research and her homework and got it down. I mean, she had it. It was all the respect in the world she paid to that character.
Well, she mentioned in the interview that after she got cast, because it was a thing that had to do with Favreau, was the connection, because Filoni heard about the fan casting. He thought she did look great as Rosario in the pictures, and he brought it up.
As Ahsoka.
He brought up Ahsoka to Jon Favreau, about them. They talked about bringing her to live action, and Favreau asked him, who's the top of your list? And he said, Rosario Dawson right now. He said, oh, wait, I know her. I can get you in touch with her. And it started from there. And she said, like, she was so nervous about it, and she was trying to act like she was cool during the call, leading up to her being asked. And she only knew a little bit about the character, but then after they made the offer and she took it, she started like watching from the beginning, and basically absorbing the character, I imagine, like from just watching every episode she was probably in. But yeah, that was incredible. And white lightsabers, we finally get to see white lightsabers in live action.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Ashley? What do you think?
Grogu.
Oh yes, we got his name. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so we finally got his name, but how many people do you think will actually start calling him Grogu?
I try to keep it. I try to do it myself.
Really, I just keep calling him Baby Yoda. And everybody I know is like, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda.
Well,
but
my wife will keep asking. She's like, what is it? And I'm like, Grogu, and I have to keep repeating it to her, Grogu. But I prefer Baby Yoda. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, you don't want that magic to end. It's like, I'm glad we got to know his name, but it's
like any good Star Wars though. I like the fact that they ask more, brought up more questions than they actually answered in this episode.
Which is
Grand Admiral Thrawn. Are we done?
Yeah. Final thoughts real quick on it though, because this was a big episode. This wasn't like any other episode. Like,
Yeah.
final thoughts, Ashley. What
Okay,
were your
okay,
final
so
thoughts?
yeah, I like the fact they're bringing in Grand Admiral Thrawn or name dropping Grand Admiral Thrawn,
Continuing that, yeah.
name dropping another Jedi, not specifically, but saying take Grogu here. Hopefully, some other Jedi will come, whether it's Luke, whether it's Ezra,
Or
whether
someone
it's
worse.
Mace Windu. You know, who
Mhm.
knows? Um, those options are out there. So but I don't think. Do I think there's going to be answered in the Mandalorian? A lot of this stuff, no. I think it's going to be spinoffs.
Yeah. I don't think that we're gonna find out. I mean, unless that's something for another season where they can uh focus on that. I don't think we're gonna see much about Ahsoka or Thrawn. I think that was a stepping stone, just for Filoni to say, this is what's going on right now.
Hmm.
Just so you know that I'm still thinking about this, because he has a story in his back pocket. I'm sure he's itching chomping at the bit to get back to it eventually. So I think this was kind of like his way of like giving us a little oh God, like just a bit of a treat to show that he's still on. He still knows that we want to see what's going on there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Thrawn, that was my thing. Thrawn, everything. When it all comes down to hearing Thrawn, I was like, sold. I can't believe this episode just went there. And yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
Who do
my
you
What
think?
mind.
Who did you think she was going to say?
do you mean?
I mean, when we're like, who's your master? Or where's?
I didn't know if she knew something about Gideon and they were going to try to throw
Yeah,
her
that's
in and
what I
try to
thought
tie
too.
her into
Yeah,
Gideon. So, but when they
yeah,
said Thrawn, I'm like,
yeah,
what? So
yeah. I
yeah,
wasn't expecting that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
blew
My
it up.
wife, who is like a huge Thrawn fan, she's a mega Thrawn fan. She literally squealed when she heard his name. I think she squealed more about hearing his name than she did like seeing Ahsoka for the first time or hearing Grogu's name. Like she did little like, oh yeah, those, but this time she was like, ah.
No, for sure. Yeah, I think I probably made a similar sound. Yeah, for sure. But yeah. So I have a question for you guys. I was sitting there thinking about this the other day
Okay.
because think about the landscape of how like how you buy toys nowadays,
Hmm.
and you know how do you like shopping for toys? What's your routine when you shop for toys? That's my first question.
Are we talking about pandemic?
I
Are we
mean,
talking
I'm
about during
sure
the
it's all the
pandemic or
same.
in general?
Listen, that didn't change. We all shop the same. But really, I just want to know, listen, the pandemic just got the world to catch up to us nerds and how we live because we all live remote anyways. So
Yeah.
it's like, so think about this. How do you normally shop for toys nowadays?
You want me to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. So if it's something that's just announced, it's
Mhm.
pre-ordered, it's not going to be in stores. Then
Okay.
if it's something I really want, yeah, I'm going to pre-order it.
How
I'm
do you
just
know
gonna.
about that? How do you know about that? How do you know about these pre-orders?
You just follow website. Follow
Right. So
the
you shop on
toy
the
news.
websites and
Yeah,
toy
yeah,
news, right? Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. But if it's if I'm looking for older stuff, right? I do scroll through eBay or Facebook listings because I'm in a lot of Facebook toy groups, and there's some good deals to be had. In these groups, and I'm in like specific groups, like I'm in a Toy Biz group, I'm in a McFarlane group, I'm in a Star Wars group. So they put out exactly what you are looking for. But I do occasionally like visiting comic shops and toy stores, around and about when I just happen upon them because you don't know what you're going to find
Yeah.
there. But it's not like I'm going there for this specific thing. It's more like, what does this store have that I may want?
The hunt up for a surprise, or
Yeah,
yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and occasionally I'll if I'm going to Walmart, yeah, if I'm out of town and I know that something is hitting, right about now that I'm kind of interested in, I'll visit the Walmarts and the Targets, usually to just my dismay. But occasionally I will happen upon, some toys being put out on the shelf. Because a lot of times now, if you don't get there when the toy people, I mean, when the stores are putting the stuff on the shelf, you're not getting it. It's gone. That's why, I mean, I just prefer pre-order and everything because I know what I'm getting. I may not get the best looking figure because, you know, each figure's different, paint apps and all that, but at least I know I'm getting it.
Yeah.
What you, Ray? How do you normally shop?
I This year has been mainly online. I don't think I bought anything toy related this year in a store. Just because like the only store I've actually been to has been the grocery store, and occasionally since we got the house, we've made a trip or two to Lowe's, which is terrible because there's no toys and everything's overpriced.
Right?
But but what I like to do, I do like what Ashley said. You know, there's something about kind of just the thrill of you never know what you're gonna find. You know, it's the thing. You know, you and me, we kind of lost. You know, with movie stuff, places like movie stuff. You know, a store that you could go into. You're not really looking for anything maybe in particular. You might have something you're looking for, but the great thing about that kind of store is you don't know what you're gonna. You know, you might find something you didn't know you were
Know
looking
you
for.
wanted.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Sure.
you know a lot of the stuff I bought, you know, in recent years, you know, a good deal of them I wasn't expecting to find and buy, like the Nathan Drake figure that finally opened up. Here he is. Finally
He
opened him
looks
up.
great. He
Oh,
looks
we're showing off
looks
action
so
figures,
good.
huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I bought
That's
him on
not
a
fair.
whim because we were at Books a Million, me and my wife, and funnily enough, Austin met us there, and we both came, you know, me and him were like looking through the toy stuff, and I came across the Drake figure, and I was like, oh man, should I get this? And Austin was just like, he's always the devil on my shoulder about this stuff. He's like, do it, man, do it, you know you want to
Do it.
do it. And I
Listen,
ended up,
let me tell you something. If you work for your money, if you pay your bills, and you still have money left over for toys, as long as you don't get in trouble, get you that toy.
Yeah. As long as you
Get
don't
you
get in
that
trouble.
toy. As long as you don't get in
got it
trouble. I'm
first.
just saying, if you have
yeah,
somebody to answer to, that's a whole different story. But if your wife's cool with it, don't beat
I,
yourself up.
yeah,
Because listen, you don't know. You could get
yeah.
into a car wreck tomorrow and you're dead. You never got to play with that toy.
Yeah, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, usually I don't expect to buy. The only time I think I'm really like I know what I'm after is it's honestly Black Series type stuff or Legos. I don't ever buy Legos on a whim because they're
Yeah.
pricey and you got
Mhm.
you need to know what you want, and so stuff like that. You know, I usually order those online these days. Like I ordered the Razor Crest. I got that directly from the Lego site. Um, you know, I did because I was so pricey. You know, I did a payment plan with that one, so that was I could just pay that off with a few months. But
Right.
yeah, I'm more these days. Right now, I'm on an online, but I do love like the thrill of just coming across something you weren't expecting to find in just a store.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
me.
It's just like first off, I just think about like how we even find out that these things are coming out. Like it's insane now that we can like there's toy catalogs out there, but a lot of kids and parents don't pay attention to it a lot. I mean, you're not going to have a lot of that going around. It's mostly word of mouth or just moms shopping in stores. But it's neat now that we have these direct lines of communication to toy vendors. Like for example, I like NECA and Hasbro. You can be part of their Instagram page and you'll see exactly what they're releasing. They'll show you, packaging or preliminary packaging, things like that.
Hmm.
That part of it's really cool, and you see all that stuff coming out, and then you can join these pre-orders and stuff like that. But at the same time, I sit there and think about it, and yeah, that feeling of going to a store and just finding a toy you didn't know I wanted. Oh, you just presented it to me. It's like, I don't. It's like I wish that was still around. I mean, you get those. I feel like now especially with the pandemic, you're losing a lot of that,
Hmm.
and or you're losing more of that. It's gonna almost completely die out.
Yeah.
But I miss when, back in the day, when you were a kid, you just went to a toy store and it was like, what were they going to present me? And I'm
Hmm.
like, man, it just makes me think about when you were younger. Like granted, right now, I follow the same thing you do, guy. I mean, I find out some stuff that's on pre-order. Sometimes I'll pre-order it, or I'll know if it's going to be in certain stores. Like, oh, it's a Walmart exclusive. I'm going to hover around these Walmarts and see if it drops somewhere.
Hmm.
Um, or if it's a GameStop exclusive, I know I can go in there and talk to them, or find out, just I can go in there and get it. But back in the day, how did we find out? Like, how did we know when we wanted to hunt this stuff down, or where to go to get toys and stuff like that? I remember when I was a kid, and I'm just giving you an example.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that at Walmart, you were always going to find your Star Wars stuff. I knew I could always find the coolest Star Wars stuff at my Walmart when I was a kid, and they were always going to just be putting out more and more and more stuff anywhere I went. It was just about any Walmart I went to, they were just tons of Star Wars stuff. Or even when younger, you get Turtles. You had just tons of Turtles. You can get whatever you wanted for the most part. But if you were itching for like a toy, like for me, if I knew I was in the mood for a toy, I knew it's like I didn't know existed, but I knew there's probably something out there I wanted. Kmart.
Where would you go to Kmart at? Here in
Dublin. There would be no. It would be
Dublin.
one in Dublin, Georgia, and my mom would take me to Kmart, and I'd be like, yes. And we'd go to Kmart, and number one, you can get like the naughty CDs there, and number two, you could get like the well, I say naughty, I'm just saying the ones with the PA on it. And
I know what you're saying.
Because I hated it when growing up when I listened to a CD and if it skipped curse words and stuff like that, I'm like, that's stupid. Like that disrupts our artistic talent. Like I hate it. It's stupid. But anyway, so there was that. But then you would go to the toy aisle and they would have these movie tie-in toys or just these crazy toys that Walmart didn't sell, and I'd be like, I didn't know that existed. I want that, and like I bought a lot of that's where I bought a lot of the there was like that's where I found like a lot of the Independence Day toys and Godzilla, Lost in Space. I remember all those toy lines coming out, and I'm like, Jesus, Kmart's like killing it. They would have all the big vehicles and stuff like that. And it just random stuff or just random movie tie-in stuff. That's where I found a lot of the random Mortal Kombat movie stuff and Street Fighter movie stuff when I was a kid. You just didn't see that stuff. It would either be at Kmart or in the really, really rare instance. I didn't go to malls when I was a kid. I don't even think I went to my first mall until I was 12, probably 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there. And I just remember that they had like I think it was Men in Black toys, and I was like, Men in Black toys.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously they were kind of weird though, because they were already weirdly posed.
They were already posed, because I think I had I don't even remember it until you just brought it up. But yeah, I think I had Jay, and yeah he was like he was pre-posed in a really weird way. So he wasn't much to play with. He was just he's basically a sculpt. You just stand up somewhere and you just show him off to people. Look, I got this.
Right. It was very weird, because then the Matrix, I feel like when the Matrix came out, they followed that same pattern. But it was real weird. That was my first experience with those kinds of toys. But yeah, I just remember it being this, it felt adult. It felt like maybe this is where the teenagers are supposed to go get their toys. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like maybe that's what it is. Maybe Walmart sells kids stuff and Kmart sells the big boy stuff, or like the mall, the KB Toys sells the big stuff. I mean, I remember one time going into a Toys R Us when I was older and being like, number one, the prices scared the heck out of me, because they just sounded like they were way higher. And it was like they had too much. I was like, I gotta go. I just left. It was just like, oh Jesus. I can't even remember if I ever got anything worthwhile from a Toys R Us, because I just knew there was no way I would ever get anything in there ever.
There were a few things I picked up from Toys R Us, because there's a lot of exclusives, to Toys R Us. So
yeah, but when I was older, for sure.
Yeah.
When I was older, when Power Rangers were putting out exclusive stuff there, I was like, okay, I didn't know they did that, but that's cool.
Yeah. Well, growing up, I did Walmart was my main artery that I would mainline my toy my toy thirst with. But whereas you had like your, you said you would go to, like Dublin, the Kmart in Dublin, that was your your treasure trove. That my thing was, my parents every now and then we would take trips to the mall in Augusta, the Regency Mall. I guess
that was the first. That was my first mall, and that was just like, what?
That was always like those are the special trips, because mainly like the big times we would go would be, we'd go a couple of times throughout the year, maybe half a dozen maybe. But there was always the time, near Christmas time where we'd go there and we'd try to do some Christmas shopping, and we'd also visit Santa Claus. And yeah, that place for me as a kid was like a treasure trove. I'd always want to go to the KB Toys, and I think they even had two of them. I think there was one upstairs and one downstairs at one point.
Yep,
But
they did.
yeah, and I don't remember. And Toys R Us was rarely something we ever touched on. I think we maybe went once, but I think I think my dad went and actually got our first Game Boy from there. But it was mainly the mall. There was actually a time we went to Service Merchandise. You ever remember that place?
Yeah, I remember that.
You wouldn't even, have you ever been to one, Austin, or heard
The
of it?
what?
Service Merchandise.
Maybe it doesn't sound familiar. It was in the mall.
I think they're closed down. No, it wasn't in the
Yeah,
mall.
they're
It
not
was
around
actually like
anymore.
I think it was across the street from the mall, actually, from where
Yeah, it wasn't in the mall. Yeah.
Yeah. The weird, I got one of my Power Ranger figures from here, one of the kicking action ones. I got it from there. But basically, it's one of those weird stores where you wouldn't pick up the object you wanted to buy. What you would do was you would grab something of it. I think it was maybe like a
ticket or slip or something.
you still got a slip or something, and then when you were done shopping, you would bring it up to wherever. I think it was a person or something. But I remember the main thing I remember in my memory is you would basically go up in front of this thing, and all the things that you wanted to get would kind of come out on a conveyor belt, and you'd buy, and you'd get them. And yeah, that was another place that we went to. Not as much as the mall. The mall was our main thing that we would do, but that was something we did once or twice. I think that was interesting. That was always something that hung around in my memory. But yeah, the mall was my main thing growing up. That was my big main thing that I wanted to do. That I wanted to go to do toy hunting, because the KB Toys was like any kid's dream, because it's just you don't have any of the like other stuff that you would get at Walmart. You don't have the clothes, you don't have the electronics section. It was just pure toys. That was a kid's dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Game Boy, real quick though, before I ask, because I want to ask you, I want you to tell us the same thing. But and you may even know this, but Ray said he got his first Game Boy at that Toys R Us, but Ashley's wife actually has a real interesting story about the very first Game Boy. Have we ever mentioned that on this show before?
Mm-mm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. You should tell it. Do you know it? You probably know it better, so go ahead.
Well, I mean, this may not be the same exact story. I just remember she got the Game Boy. Her cousin was dating a guy, and this guy gave her the Game Boy. And am I right?
Okay, so I thought I was like, okay. In the household growing up, the big thing was all your meals, and breakfast was a very key part of it. So when I would come to their house, cereal was our thing. I mean, in the mornings it was like you had all the different cereals. They had all the best cereals, and when we would eat the cereal, we talk to each other, but we read on the boxes, play the games, stuff like that. I think at the time there was a promotion of Find the Real Captain Crunch, and she won a Game Boy.
Oh,
so
wow.
I remember being in the back seat of the car the night they go to the mailbox, because this was back in the day when you had to wait. She probably waited a month or so for that thing to come in. Like, yeah, I know it was at least a month or like several weeks, but I remember being in the back seat. It's one of those things when you're a kid, because I was really young, but I can vividly remember being in the back seat, and we got it out of the mailbox, because maybe it was like we had to go pick it up down the road somewhere. Maybe she did get it at their mailbox. But anyway, I just know we got it, and she's flipping out and going crazy over it. And then I think the accessories may have came from her, maybe from where you're talking about, because I think
it could be it. That could be it.
It was like,
yeah.
Because she ended up after that getting like a carrying case to like put it in with it, and then then some games in the game cases. Maybe that's what he got for her, was the carrying case.
Yeah, it could have been.
But that just blew my world, like, because she won this thing, so it was free.
Oh yeah.
And this is the heyday of Nintendo, so this is oh my God, we already worship Nintendo and played Nintendo together like crazy. So here she goes winning this thing and being like, I've got a Game Boy, and it's the first Game Boy that we've ever seen in existence. And it's like, oh my God, and yeah, I think it lost its appeal pretty quick though. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Frosted Flakes really came through on that one, didn't it?
Or Happy Crunch or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, Ashley, what about your toy experience from your
Well,
kid?
back in my day, my dad whittled down some wood to make. No.
Your dad was Santa Claus and he made you toys?
So I mean, I don't recall ever like going to a toy store and just finding something that I didn't know about, because everything was advertised to us as kids,
Yeah.
especially growing up in the 80s. G.I. Joe cartoon, everybody's gonna have a toy. Transformers, everybody's gonna have a toy. I mean, if there was a cartoon, it was the cartoon was basically just a promotion to sell toys, So I watched all those cartoons, so I knew, it may not have been on the shelf when I went, but I knew what to expect when I went to like the local Maxway, is what it was in our town, or Walmart. But then, towards the end of the 80s, early 90s, there was this movement away from that for me, and also comic books, man. When I was reading comics when I was younger too, I mean, they'd have ads for toys like Marvel Secret Wars or Kenner Superpowers or whatever, even Star Wars figures and everything else. But then as we roll over into the 90s, the comics stopped. They were kind of growing up. They stopped catering to the kids like that, stopped advertising toys, and more like got milk, had the little milk mustache and, just different ads, rather than toy ads. And this was pre-internet days, like prior, not too far away, but I wasn't keeping up with cartoons or anything. And there, unless you were in a fan club or something and got some kind of monthly mailing, you didn't really know what was out there unless you saw a commercial on TV, like I think they were still advertising, the Batman movie toys or something like that, just randomly. But it seems like around 95, when I don't think I knew about the Power of the Force 2 line until I actually walked into my local Walmart and saw like Luke, 3PO, Darth Vader, and a stormtrooper and Obi-Wan sitting on the shelf, and I was like, and then I just immediately grabbed all of them, and because Leia wasn't available at the time, she was like the hard one to get, and she stayed that way for about 6 months, and I mean, she was like $30, at stores at one point, and now she's like what, $3. You can get all those figures for about $3 mint on card. But shortly after the Power of the Force, though, that's when the internet, started coming up with message boards and chat rooms and all that kind of stuff, and people sharing information about what's coming, what, people who knew toy people kind of deal. And now it's not hard to know toy people. Like, in fact, I've gotten, just from doing podcasts, websites, stuff like that, and just being in, certain message board, belonging to certain message boards, I know lots of toy sculptors, lots of painters, lots of, artists, lots of people in the toy industry. And it's cool because, I mean, you can kind of keep up in a different way than just the normal Hasbro releasing their social media blitz on the newest wave of, pick one, some particular toy line. But no, I mean, as far as growing up, I didn't have a problem. I basically knew what was on the shelf just by watching cartoons.
Yeah.
And that's what I was targeting when I went in,
I was going to say, if I didn't see it as a commercial on TV and all that, here was the thing. You would see the commercials, like the Batman movies coming out, and you would see the toys for them and all that, or Star Wars or Power Rangers. But in my head, it's like I always had this fantasy world where I knew what was reality and what was obtainable and what wasn't. Like with Power Rangers, I'm like, Yeah, I'll never be able to get that Megazord. Like, God, I wish I could get it. The thing is I never even saw the Megazord in stores.
Yeah, me neither.
Barely saw any of those Power Ranger toys in stores. But then I also wouldn't know where, like, you'd see an advertisement sometimes for toys and you're like, oh, that's cool. And if I didn't see it at Walmart, I'm like, I don't know where they sell that stuff. So you see these like the places that Ray was talking about. When I was growing up, I just didn't know that stuff existed. It was weird. I'm not saying I had a horrible childhood. We just, number one, my parents probably just weren't aware of these types of places that sold these toys if it wasn't Walmart or Kmart.
Yeah.
And plus that just wasn't our world, back then.
Yeah.
Mall and things like that, you knew about it in movies. It was like, oh, that's what city folk did. Like, that's nowhere around here. Like, that's fancy city folk. But there's not, like, we're not going to be able to do any of that. So, like, that
You
would
make
be
it
a
sound like
fantasy world.
You make it sound like you grew up like Bobby Boucher.
Well, no, it would make you, or it would, for me, it would make you like romanticize it even more. So, like, even now to this day, I feel like I over romanticize things that other people just kind of go like, eh. I'm like, but there's a beauty in this. Like going to a new city for the first time. I'm like, this is amazing. And I'm like, oh, let's try the food. That smell. It smells like a different city. Or I'll say, oh, this reminds me of something. And you'll have other people go like, it's just like, well,
Oh yeah, it's that it's applicable to almost any type of thing. When you're accustomed to, like me growing up, I never had satellite or cable or anything like that. So
Right,
anytime I would get a
right.
chance, like specifically for me, I was going to visit my grandpa on the week. Whenever we'd go down for a weekend to stay with him, he had cable, so that was a special time because I would get to watch cable. Get to watch Nickelodeon and all that stuff on Saturdays. So I mean, yeah, that's an easy thing to understand. Things you didn't, you don't have. So when your world opens up, that's the special stuff. To you finding out.
Right. This is like probably the intro to the Bachelor world that I've ever seen was when I was a kid, and this same family, his wife's uncle, watching him get one of the first satellites. People back in the day, when you got a satellite, they had to build that thing in your yard.
Yeah.
You're
Install
talking
it.
about,
And it's-
you're talking
yeah, I'm
about
talking about
the
the
huge
Big dish. I
stuff.
remember those.
Like,
Yeah.
we're talking about
That's before
not the
Crime
size of
Star.
the Millennium Falcon. Yeah, it wasn't the Falcon dish. The dish was the size of the Falcon. It was this huge dish, but it was awesome because he had this huge remote, and he's like, I'm going to show you something. Let's go to Showtime. Here, I got to put it in this quadrant, and so you see it dial into a certain quadrant, and then boom, it's in T2, and all of a sudden it would go. You look outside, and the satellite would go and just like turn, and you're like, wow. And all of a sudden, boom, you're getting all these movie channels that you've never experienced before, and you're like, this is the future. And so you're getting to experience all that kind of stuff, and so, like, yeah, wow, when I was a kid, that stuff was just a fantasy. It was like, if you work hard when you're older, this is obtainable, but don't even fret about that right now, because you ain't got it. You ain't getting none of that, buddy. And so it's like, all right, whatever. But I mean, I was happy. But yeah, whenever, I just know that growing up, it, like, be it a toy, a video game system, a lot of times I would play catch up, like play it like with cable and satellite. I didn't really get satellite until I was older, and having to experience MTV and all that, and try to take that world and make it all make sense to me. It was insane. It was like I had to have a college course over a summer and learn how all that stuff worked, like how the world worked through the eyes of MTV.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. It was fun.
Thinking about it, that there is a store, Family Dollar, which Family Dollar has changed over the years. But when I was little, I would go to Family Dollar and find toys that I didn't know existed. Stuff like Warlord, Sergeant Rock action figures.
You're
right. You're right.
There are also like the
AWA.
multitude. Well, there are also the multitudes of rip-off toys that you could also get at Dollar General.
there was, but like the AWA wrestlers, which are sort of similar in size to He-Man. They were actually real franchise toys, and these weren't rip-offs. Now they did have their fair share of rip-offs, but I was just we'd go into Family Dollar and I would find like these weird toys that I never heard of, and I'd buy. So just because.
No, that's the truth. You're
Yeah.
right, because I just you reminded me of that. Family Dollar did used to be like, because I know in our town we had a Family Dollar, and it didn't have a big selection of toys, but
Yeah.
sometimes you can go in there and find these really good toys
Mhm.
that you just didn't know existed, or were maybe you were looking for and didn't know that
Yeah.
they would have them. And then the same would go for movies too. Sometimes I would find good toys in there and good movies, but
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of crap, a lot of crap. So, but yeah, I think we'll wrap that up here for the night. And I think did everybody have a good Thanksgiving? I don't know if we mentioned that before. Did everybody travel? I think we talked about like staying in. I think we're all settled. Everybody feels well. No sickness. So good.
No,
I think.
no, we're good.
It'd be funny if I just immediately vomited. But so yeah, I think we probably. Yeah, we'll have a few more shows before the Christmas holidays, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think
We just had to
we'll
take a short break there for Thanksgiving there. Just
just a short one,
break.
but
Yeah.
we'll be okay.
Austin
But guys,
Gorday, mall is the devil.
Miles Devil, you don't go there. That's rich people. You don't go there.
Yeah.
That's them Democrats. They go there. All right, world peace.
Peace.
Later
Okay.
days.
World peace.